Hello, this is a game called On the Ball for the Super Nintendo. It was published by Taito. Your goal is to guide a ball through a series of rotating courses toward a finish line while avoiding a series of obstacles. This sounds very similar to Marble Madness, but On the Ball is much better for a few reasons. On the Ball doesn't have an isometric perspective, and the field moves around the ball. Aside from a jump button used mostly to break blocks, you don't actually have direct control of the ball. It's very similar to Super Monkey Ball, which was created a full decade after On the Ball. I've said ball too many times already. A game like this would be easy to make completely devoid of personality and imagination. There are no monkeys here, not even characters, but On the Ball tries its best without all that. I'm not sure what kind of tone or mood it's trying to create. Everything that has nothing to do with the nuts and bolts of the game itself seems like it came from the developers asking their kids to improvise stories and ideas. Images are shown at the end of every stage as a reward, and I have no idea what any of them mean. Yet to be seen, try it, as the ball looks at a spooky tree at night. The job in this field is completed, as Ball sleeps at his emasculating corporate job. It's not over yet, says game, as Ball gets electrocuted by its gay robot boss for thinking hate thoughts. Oi bruv, do you have your thought license? You still have a long way to go. Who is this guy? Don't be relieved, but I have to go. Yet to be seen, try it. A space buffalo? Oh, it's a pretty lady. Booby lady. No, Ball is getting abducted. No, Ball has been turned over to the devil. The level names are their own kind of strange. Names like Menthol Moon, Spacewalker, with a level background lifted from a troubled teen call-in show on public access television. December Cellar, Heart of Diamond, Wood, Ancient Battleship, China Garden, which sounds like a restaurant, In the Camel, Dolphin Passage, Celestial Patio. I found the name for my next Vaporwave album. Some levels have nation in their names, like Italy GP, Hungary GP, Japan GP, and a few others. On the Ball's universe seems to have some kind of international competition associated with rotating obstacle courses, but none of the stage backgrounds reflect these cultures. The game setting is an enigma. The game over screen has this mystical looking lady with a crystal ball. There's a little lady on a chalkboard that ducks her head in shame when you skip the instructions. I have no idea what's happening, but I like it. Questions and mysteries are usually more interesting than answers, and On the Ball is a mysterious game that caused me to ask many questions. The course backgrounds rarely have anything to do with their level's namesakes. Their quality and artistic direction has a broad variation as well. Some levels have a simple brick pattern background, while others have this polygonal thing happening. There's a wide discrepancy in quality when it comes to the backgrounds. It's like this game is a patchwork of assets used from other Taito games that never saw release. I wouldn't like it as much if not for all its quirks, but On the Ball is really good separate from its character. It has 4 planes, each with 4 series of levels, with a varying amount of courses in each. Every successful completion of the course gives you a time bonus that adds on to your time remaining. On the Ball's main challenge is avoiding time traps. Certain obstacles give you a time penalty ranging from 2 to 5 seconds if they are engaged. Other obstacles can impede your movement without a direct time penalty by draining the clock in real time. On the Ball's most annoying obstacles are found in breakable blocks. They're easy to break if you have enough momentum, but layers of 2 or more are harder to overcome, though this is mitigated via time bonuses contained in some blocks. The game doesn't take too many liberties with its physics. Most contact with any part of the course surroundings will slow your momentum. Again, there is a jump button, and it's assigned to the same button that increases the ball's velocity. Unless you're on a clear, uninterrupted path, your ball wants to jump off of any solid object near it. This decreases your velocity considerably, and you will inadvertently jump when you want to go faster through a level. That's my only complaint about On the Ball's control setup. You can rotate the stage using the D-pad and shoulder buttons on the Super Nintendo controller. You also have a third option with the A and Y buttons, but either of those buttons could have been put to better use by separating the jump and velocity commands. It's no big deal because we can all eat Hostess Jumbo Donuts together and elevate our breakfast game. On the Ball's length is another potential sore spot. I completed every stage in a few hours without having any of them committed to memory. This was one of my favorite games to play on Super Nintendo emulators when I was younger, but it had been a long time since I last tried it. You might see the end in 4 hours, but I think the average player can beat it in 5. That's about how long it took me to accomplish that. Except for 1 or 2 levels that needed it, I was able to beat the game in this brief duration without speeding up the ball. But I don't think this is a game that needs to be longer than it is. Repetition in On the Ball ball is a reward. You can attempt to beat your high scores and best times without much of a time investment. Games that track scores and times find that addictive quality if you can achieve personal bests within a short duration. On its own merits, there is no reason why On the Ball shouldn't be viewed with more reverence. Nintendo's marketing machine keeps its own mascots in the public eye, and that creates more of a demand for reliving that particular part of the past. I don't fall for this as much. I like to experience different, less esteemed, and more overlooked aspects of the past. On the Ball is not likely anyone's favorite game of all time, but it might be my favorite Super Nintendo game. Its design choices are easy to understand, it's occasionally challenging to a degree of frustration, but those occasions happen rarely. It captures that easy-to-learn, difficult-to-master feeling perfectly. I give On the Ball an obvious recommendation, but do I recommend it above the version on Taito Legends 2? On the Ball started off as an arcade game called Camel Try, and it's included in this compilation. Taito Legends 2 is worth the purchase all for the other great arcade ports on it, even if it was PlayStation 2 exclusive in North America. The Xbox received a version, but it was only released in Europe, and that's not right. Anyway, the short answer is that On the Ball does more than enough to warrant its own purchase, but there are noticeable differences that are worth discussing. Camel Try only has a total of 4 stages, so the Super Nintendo port gets a lot of credit for expanding the game fourfold. On the Ball is 3 years older, but it doesn't look as good as its arcade forebear because of the inferior hardware. Camel Try also benefits from superior ball physics. On the Ball's ball feels more hollow. It does not plow through breakable objects with the amount of efficiency as the one in Camel Try. On the Ball does allow you to increase the rate of travel, while Camel Try's range of speed is narrow. Range of vision is another point in Camel Try's favor. The camera is zoomed out a lot further when compared to On the Ball. This was never an issue for me in the first place, but seeing more of the levels would make it easier to plan out movements in advance. Camel Try offers bonus characters, and they're really funny to watch fall helplessly through the mazes. None of them are balls except for one, and it happens to be the only character with its own special ability as far as I can tell. The ball is called Black Steel, and it moves faster through the level than any of the others should it get enough uninterrupted momentum. I don't really like using this one. The levels are harder to navigate with it because you can't really control its speed. Camel Try does a lot of things that On the Ball could have mirrored to make for a more perfect game, but they don't add up to a huge difference. On the Ball is more sequel than remake, and it definitely would have completely felt like one if the game didn't begin with Camel Try's 4 original stages. The Super Nintendo release earns a lot of points for trying things within its setting that were not implemented in Camel Try. After the first set of courses, On the Ball introduces 2 new concepts. One is a limited range of motion, so you can't advance the tilt beyond a certain angle. The other reverses the gravity. Balls fall up instead of down. I like the gravity reversal courses for the novelty. The limited angle courses presented a bigger challenge that I did not like at first, but I changed my mind before long. On the Ball is really good, and since I'm a lazy writer, I'm going to end this review with an inappropriate quip instead of writing a real ending. Oh,